Hello and welcome to 111 Life. As you are aware, we are creating a podcast, YouTube, video, forum and episodes for topics around the spiritual world and everything that's encompassed in that. I'm not going to go on too long about that for the moment because that's going to come on as we're talking through the episode, and as we're going through the series we'll be covering many topics. As you might want to know is how this has all come about. I'm just going to give you a little caption of that. About 3 years ago in lockdown, I had the idea because I was doing a Zoom group, and in that group it really sort of like enabled me to get comfortable with the camera, talking online and working in a social media way. And I got quite excited by the conversations I was having with people, the stories that come out, and I thought this is really good, this could be something bigger. And I had done some recording with a dear friend of mine, and that recording has been sitting there for about 3 years, but it was me on my own. And there was something not quite right about it, so I just left it. And as I've left it, a synchronicity of events has brought us to where we are today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand that over to my mum, Gaynor, and let her sort of give you an understanding of why we're all here today, and we'll all share our synchronistic coming together.
Hi. Well, mine goes back to 2015 or 2014. I had a grandson that died, and then what happened was I moved to Devon. And I'd already been running groups, doing readings, got retreats up. But what happened was, in 2018, I was in a group teaching tarot, teaching mediumship, and then COVID come along. And we was no longer allowed to meet up. So, Devon Spirit, they asked me if I would go on Zoom. Well, that was a joke in itself. WhatsApp, Zoom, you have no idea the difficulties that I went through. But eventually I did get on and do the tarot. And I was teaching the tarot online. Well, as you'll see, I sound very common. So when my daughter asked me to do this with her, no, I did not want to do it. I still really don't. But when I look over, it's made me look over 2018, 2019, of where I was online, Zooming, and they was filming it for me. And I thought, no, I'm never doing this again. But by some reason, I found another one, which was where I've moved to this house, and this is what I'm just going to tell you. That was teaching again for them, but I felt more confident then. I didn't care what it sounded like. But anyway, we come up to today. How I ended up here, where I live, I have no idea. I think fate brought us here. My daughter brought me into Coxheath because I'd never ever come here and lived in this part of Kent. I was moving back from Devon because I missed my family and grandchildren and what have you. So we came, we looked at a house. I said, certainly not. But then I feel that the house picks you, you don't pick the house. I kept coming back, and what you have to realise is nothing is by chance. I was meant to come here, and just after a year I had a group that came in, and I was teaching, and one of the ladies was Lucy, who's to do with my grandson's friend, and I said to her, did you know anyone that does illustrations? She said, yeah, I do. Anyway, and this is how Josie, and if ever God sent Josie to me, well, we've just completed 8 children's books, and she's taught me English. She taught me how to do English. It's the first time in all these years. And then, obviously, introducing her to my daughter. They was interested in astrology, and by the way, she's a brilliant astrologer.
Thank you.
We're all very good in our fields, what we're doing. And then this is where 111 Life came in, because Nicola wanted to do that. I sure didn't. I had no intention of doing it, by the way. But we'll go off of that part, and I'm really glad because I then said, well, we've got past, present and future here. And it is, we've got the young one, the in-between and the old crone. And that's my story.
There's lots of things that we're saying where you probably want us to fill in the gaps. That will come along. We're going to give you some options to ask questions. And again, we're going to be bringing people on that have had experiences within our lives and with us and in their own lives. So if there's anything you don't understand, if there's anything that you've got, oh, what did she mean? Or I want to know more about that. We want you to ask those questions. But giving it over to Josie, just fill in the gaps about your way that it come around for you.
Okay, so for me, it probably started, we're going to go back to about 2018. Now, to give you a backstory, I've always been an artist. I've always loved art ever since I was a child. Always been a natural gift for me. But I never pursued it sort of in a school setting. I never went to college, anything like that. It was just always something I loved. Now, I found myself out of a job around this time, 2017 to 18. And my best friend's parents got me a job interview. So out of respect, I went. It was at a solicitor's. If you know me, that is the last place you'd ever see me, is working in a solicitor's. But whatever. That was that. I went and I got to the second interview and the man said to me right at the end, he went, do you know what? I think you would be more suited to a creative profession. And after that day, I thought, you know what, that is absolutely right. You are correct. So obviously, like Gaynor was saying, nothing is by chance. God led me there. And I took the opportunity and it wasn't what I wanted to do, but it's brought me onto this. So then after that, I thought I'm going to actually try and pursue my art. So I started doing paintings and things like that and just selling them. And, you know, I ended up contacting and networking with people in America, Canada, Germany, sold art to lots of different places, just on a very casual level. And then somewhere in the mix of that, I got involved with astrology, which obviously I will go into afterwards. But how that actually relates to our journey was I moved into this house in February 2020. And really, this house was not in our price range or anything, but we went and had a look at it. Me, my family fell in love with it straight away. And it was the strangest coincidence. The first buyers that looked at our house bought it, and we moved in here very quickly. And then we were locked down. And then maybe about a year in, something like that, I had sold some artwork to my next door neighbour, which is Lucy, Gaynor's grandson's friend. And that was that. And then one day she just messaged me, do you do illustrations? Well, funnily enough, at the time, I actually did not do illustrations, but I thought, I'll take any work. I'll just say yes. And I've always loved drawing characters from a child. That was always my kind of thing, so it tied in. Anyway, so I go to meet Gaynor at her house in Coxheath, and she gets me to draw her a mushroom. For whatever reason, and she absolutely loved it, and we just clicked straight away, I'd say. Yeah. Went on from there. I became her illustrator for the children's books, really fell into place. I never imagined that's where my path would take me, but obviously God, the universe has a plan for all of us, so got to trust that. And then, so after working with Gaynor for maybe about 6 months, I was introduced to Nicola. So that was about a year ago, probably a year ago, like a week ago really, to the day. And straight away, Nicola wanted to know about the astrology.
I did. Yes, give me some of that. Yes.
And I already loved astrology. I would do a few like casual readings, but nothing serious. But Nicola told me she was a very hard person to read, but she loved what I told her. Went into that. And then fast forward again. So I'd started an astrology podcast with my friend. It was good, but same as Nicola was saying, there was something just not quite right, something missing. I didn't feel like it was exactly what I wanted to be doing. And I went to Nicola. She picked me up one day. We were going to Gaynor's. And I went to her in the car. I went, oh, Nicola, do you know what? I think I'm going to need a reading from you because I really don't know what to do about this podcast. And she went, well, funny you say that because I have been wanting to do a podcast for ages, and it just sort of went on from there, really.
And I'd already said that you would change from
Yeah.
Mm.
Gain had already said to me that this would be a part of it, but I feel like none of us really expected that it would come to this.
No.
But I think as it's evolved, this has really been like the natural progression that feels right, and I feel that all three of us have something to offer people as a unit and individually. So
Here we are.
Catch it, put it in a jar to have and to hold, to save for later. You cannot trust it to come again, to wait for you to find a pen and fill the paper with the message that it wants.